The storm had been brewing for hours, low, angry clouds pressing down over the wide Montana plains, the wind shrieking through the cracks of the old barn like a soul begging to be heard. The cattle were restless, their low moans blending with the crackle of thunder rolling across the valley. Inside, a dim lantern flickered, casting long, wavering shadows over the dust and splintered wood. The rancher stood there, tall, silent, his face half hidden beneath the brim of his hat, jaw clenched tight as a coiled spring. His name was Caleb Turner, a man known across counties for his quiet strength and his silence when others might shout. But that night, even Caleb's calm was stretched to its breaking point. She stumbled in through the door, soaked to the bone, shivering, her hair tangled with rain and dirt. I can't hold it in anymore," she gasped, voice trembling, eyes wide with something more than fear. It was a secret she'd been running from, one that had finally caught her under the weight of the storm. Caleb took one step toward her, boots creaking against the floorboards. "You need to sit," he said softly, reaching for her arm, but she jerked back, clutching her side where her coat was torn and stained with something dark. Blood. For a long, haunting second, neither spoke. The rain hammered against the roof, the lantern flame shivered, and the truth began to claw its way out. "They're coming," she whispered, her eyes darting toward the window where lightning flashed across the distant ridge. "You don't understand, Caleb. They know I told you. They know about the land deed." His breath caught. The land deed, the one that could ruin 3 powerful ranchers who had stolen acres from widows and homesteaders during the drought. Caleb had helped her hide the papers, thinking it would all blow over. But she had gone back. She had seen too much. "You went back there?" He hissed, disbelief twisting into dread. She nodded weakly, clutching her ribs. "I had to. They were burning the evidence. I tried to save it." The lantern sputtered as wind pushed through the barn slats. He saw the pain in her eyes, the way her body trembled, and something deep inside him cracked. He had promised to protect her, to keep her safe no matter what. And now, because of that promise, men would come to kill them both before dawn. He crossed the space between them and caught her as she swayed, lowering her gently onto a pile of old hay. Her breathing was ragged, the blood spreading faster than he could stop. He tore a strip of cloth from his sleeve, pressing it against her wound. "You're not dying on me," he growled. "Not like this." She tried to smile, but tears spilled down her cheeks. "You don't understand. It's already done. They'll burn the ranch. They'll bury us both if you stay." His hands froze. The thought of leaving his land, his father's land, was unthinkable. But the thought of losing her was worse. Then suddenly hoofbeats thundered in the distance. He looked toward the open barn doors where flashes of torchlight flickered between the trees. The hunters had come. Caleb's eyes hardened. He stood, his shadow rising tall and dark in the lantern glow. "If they want her," he said coldly, "they'll have to go through me." He reached for his rifle hanging on the wall, loading it with the last rounds he owned. "No," she cried, trying to rise. "Caleb, please don't do something foolish." But he didn't answer. His silence was a vow. The door burst open moments later, and the storm roared in with the men, faces hidden, guns drawn, voices like gravel. "Hand her over, Turner," the one in front barked. "Ain't no point in both of you dying." Caleb didn't move. The rain soaked his coat, dripping down his hat brim, his finger resting lightly on the trigger. For a breathless second, the world went still. Then the rancher did something no one expected. Something horrifying. He blew out the lantern. The barn plunged into darkness. The only light came from the flashes of lightning, revealing chaos in frozen glimpses. Gunfire, shouting, the crash of hooves. He moved like a ghost through the shadows, using the storm to hide his aim. One shot, two, a scream. Another flash, and she saw him, blood streaked across his face, eyes wild with something more than rage. He fought like a man already dead. By the time the last echo faded, only the sound of rain remained. She crawled toward him through the smoke and broken hay, her voice cracking. "Caleb! Caleb!" But when she reached him, she froze. He was standing still, his rifle hanging loose in his hands. And at his feet, one of the attackers lay moaning. Caleb turned toward her, eyes hollow, his face pale as bone. "They weren't alone," he said hoarsely. "There'll be more." Lightning split the sky again, revealing the horror of what he had done. Not just to save her, but to protect a secret buried even deeper than the land deed. For under the barn floor, hidden beneath old boards, lay the evidence of another sin, one he had carried for years, one that had driven him into silence. She followed his gaze to the spot and realized the truth before he spoke. "You didn't just help me," she whispered, her voice shaking. You killed them." He didn't deny it. He just lowered his head. "They came for my brother years ago," he said quietly. "Burned him alive over the same land they tried to take from you. I buried what was left right there. Thought it would end with him." Tears mixed with the rain as he looked at her, broken but unflinching. "Guess I was wrong." She took his hand, trembling. "Then let it end tonight." He hesitated, his chest heaving with guilt and fury. "You can still go," she whispered. "Take the papers." "Leave me." His jaw clenched. "No," he said, voice low and final. "I ain't leaving you. I'd rather burn with you than run from them again." She shook her head, sobbing, but before she could speak, the sound of horses echoed again, closer this time. He pulled her to her feet, his arm steadying her as he dragged open the back door. The rain hit them like knives, the world a blur of wind and firelight. "We'll head for the ridge," he shouted over the storm. "If we can make it to the creek, we can lose them." They ran through the mud, the storm swallowing their footsteps, but behind them came the glow of torches, dozens of them. When they reached the ridge, the ground fell away into a ravine. Lightning lit the churning waters below. He looked at her, his face torn between despair and determination. "We jump," he said. "It's the only way." She stared at him, eyes wide. "Caleb, no!" But he took her hand, gripped tight, and whispered, "Hold on." Together they leapt into the roaring dark. The water swallowed them whole, carrying them into the unknown. When dawn finally broke, the ranch was gone, burned to ashes. The men who'd hunted them found nothing but footprints washed away by the storm. Somewhere miles downstream, in a quiet hollow by the creek, she woke first. The rain had stopped. Caleb lay beside her, pale still, but breathing. She pressed her hand to his cheek, whispering, "You did it. You saved us." His eyes fluttered open, and for the first time in years he smiled, a tired, broken smile that still carried hope. "Maybe now," he rasped, "we can start again." And as the sun rose over the valley, painting gold across the wreckage of the night, she knew that sometimes what seems horrifying in the dark is just love fighting for its last breath.